Welcome to the Private Practice Startup, where we inspire you from startup to mastery. We chat with entrepreneurs, experts in the mental health and business arenas, and successful private practitioners to give you the tools needed to make your dream practice a reality. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, and so much more. Here are your hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux. Welcome, Startup Nation, to another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. I am Dr. Kate Campbell, and I'm here with my co-host and business partner, Katie Lemieux. And we're super excited about today's podcast guest, Alexia McLeod. She's a licensed clinical social worker, and she is founder and president of the Therapeutic Center for Hope here in South Florida. She's going to be talking about today 4 ways to break through emotional patterns that block your vision. Katie, why don't you talk about your story of how you met Alexia?
Well, Alexia, I feel like almost all the stories I talk about is through networking. So I met Alexia through networking, and she was I don't know what your position was there. What was it?
I was actually the president of a great group at that point in time. It was called Stilettos and Lipsticks. It's actually still performing. I'm no longer the president of that group. I stepped back from that time, but it was amazing. And we had a great meeting.
We did have a great meeting, and it was at a lovely American Social down here in Las Olas, Florida. So let me just share with everyone a few bits and pieces about Alexia. So Kate had already mentioned she is the co-founder or founder of the Therapeutic Center for Hope. She graduated with her advanced standing master's degree at the very young age of 21 and was very determined to excel and became a trailblazer in empowering others through her practice and service. She has a lot of other accolades and information, which you're going to find all on the show notes. And so just a few fun facts about Alexia is that she really loves Greek food and nerds candy.
Yes.
She was also born in Canada, or I always say Canada, and loves water sports. And she still gets nervous before a speech or event. So you're letting us know you're nervous today. Awesome. So before we get into your topic, we just want to ask you a few fun questions.
Alexia, what led you into private practice?
Oh, you know what? I believe that I was meant to be doing something bigger. And it took for somebody great to really see greatness within me and encourage me to. I love what I do. I was working with birth mothers at that point in time within the hospitals, dealing with people that were having babies and that were in the NICU, and actually dealing with people that were giving babies for adoption, or I like to say gifting babies for adoption. And I loved it. I just had a passion for it, and they saw that in me, that I should step out, and I took the opportunity. I always wanted to give more than what I had the ability to do within the organized setting. So now I have the opportunity to do it.
That's really cool, and it's really awesome when someone else inspires you to do something. I actually got a call today from someone I used to work with, and she is finishing her associates, and she goes, Katie, thank you for pushing me to do that, and she's about to graduate, and it's just such a cool feeling. So we need a lot of that in this field to inspire and support others to be their best, do their best, and really live into the vision that we know is true for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alexia, what's the best advice that you've ever received that relates to building a business and becoming a private practice entrepreneur?
Really just, believing in your own purpose. Not having your purpose be defined by anyone else, but really staying clear on what you want to do and what you believe in. That's the best advice that I ever got.
And that relates back to you wanting to make a better impact, being able to make that difference in a broader way.
And it also relates to your topic. So why don't we jump into that? So again, your topic is the 4 ways to break through emotional patterns that block your vision. And of course, we're talking about private practice. So share with us what number 1 is.
Well, number 1 is going to be, first I have to just say to you that, we've all experienced a time in our lives where we feel like we're not moving. I think everybody has, when we feel as though we're holding on to something, we're not achieving really what we're meant to be doing. And we call that being stuck. Being stuck can be a mental experience. It can be an emotional experience. It can even be a spiritual experience. Sometimes it's brought about, because we don't know who we are. And when we don't know who we are, we don't really know who we're capable of. And I think that that's kind of what I was talking about even before. It took somebody else to bring that out in me. And other times, I would say another time, we don't want to know who we are. You're stuck on different stories that people have been telling you, what you're supposed to be doing, what you think you're going to be doing, or what you think of yourself. And this relates to practitioners in a way to where, we have a vision of what we think others think is our success story, rather than defining it for ourselves. Sometimes we can live down to the expectations people have for us rather than living up. So the tips that I have to break through these patterns, number one would be to tell the truth. Telling the truth about who you are and what you're willing to do, about your true vision. I define a goal and a vision. It's two different things. We grew up living knowing what a goal is. Even when we have New Year's, we define a goal. Every summertime I have my goal. It's always the same goal. I'm going to lose 5 pounds.
In a bathing suit.
Yeah, as I'm eating my nerds. I have my goal. But you know what? A goal is really, it's defined as a desired result. A vision, on the other hand, is a manifestation of something that's unseen. And even when I hear the word manifestation, it's something that's so great to me, because it's like, okay, I'm going to make something out of nothing. It's separating the shoulds, the goal, from the musts, which is the manifestation or the vision. So telling yourself the truth is putting aside the stories that you've been told or the stories that you've been telling yourself, and really defining what is it, getting clear on what that vision is.
That's great. And I think that's really important, because recently for me, I've really struggled with trying to kind of fit myself in the therapy box. I'm much more of a coach and a trainer, and that's really where I excel and shine. And recently I've really embraced that so much that, again, I'm evolving my practice, which is one thing that we do share with Startup Nation, is that your practice is always evolving. And so finally I just accepted that that's really who I am. And once you get there, it's so liberating.
Yes. It's kind of like we fight ourselves sometimes. You know that this is what you want. You can see it, but there's like a fear within us that keeps us from really doing what we desire to do.
And I was talking with one of our coachees the other day, and they were sharing a story about how actually one of their professors in a marriage and family therapy program had told them that you can't make money in this field. And that was a belief that they were holding. And that was something that was really holding them back within private practice. They were undervaluing themselves in a lot of ways. So, sometimes it's not even our beliefs. It's the beliefs that other people have instilled in us that can be so limiting. So it's great that you bring that to light.
Very true. So why don't you share with us tip number 2?
Tip number 2, let go of the excuses. Let it go.
No excuses.
No excuses. You got to be clear on what you want and take responsibility for your own failures and your own successes. All too often we say, we can't get to this phase in our business because someone else is holding us back. We haven't done this prior because we weren't allowed to do it. We have to be able to, just like we want to give ourselves praise for our successes, we have to be able to take responsibility. People might have helped you to get there, but you did the work. Own it.
Right. Yeah. As you're talking about the excuses, you remind me, I did a women's workshop one time and we were talking about excuses. So I handed out some little note cards or something like that. And probably we'll do this in a workshop now that I'm remembering it. And I had them write down all the excuses they use. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. My hair's wet. It's too dry. It's too long. It doesn't look good. The kids, the grandparents, whatever, the household chores, things like that. And then I said, great. Now I want you to theme your excuses. Are they around your looks? Are they around money? Are they around time? Are they around your kids? And now I want you to pick the top 2. And I'm going to ask you every time you catch yourself, not to use them this week, but every time you catch yourself using it, do something different instead.
Good for you. That's an awesome exercise.
You could take it.
I will.
And when you're talking about owning your successes and your failures, you're so on point with that. And that's something that's so important. And the road to success in private practice is filled with failures along the way. And we can't let those failures stop us. Actually, my first business was a complete failure. And I talk a little bit more about that as we share our story on other webinars and podcasts that we do. So I'm not going to really get into the whole thing now. But if I had let that stop me, I wouldn't be where I am today. And those failures are something that are so valuable to learn from. So as entrepreneurs, we have to, push through and be able to embrace that and learn from it and grow from it and not repeat the same failures, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
You learn so much with every step that we take and every time we go through. I like to say that, you know what, it's not a failure. It's such a learning experience, and you know what not to do and what to do.
Yes.
And the whole experience, if we could take pieces, we tend to have like limited memory. So you remember the pieces of the failure. You don't remember the good things that happened within it, you know? So even in your business, as you know, these new entrepreneurs, as you're coming out and you're doing these things, if a portion of something didn't work out, take the pieces that did and utilize that the next time.
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the things we're most passionate about, is sharing what we've learned from our failures with our coachees, with the Private Practice Startup Nation, being able to have other people learn from our failures and our successes so they don't have to repeat the same process.
Yeah, exactly. Although we all will, because we're human, right? But hopefully we can really impact some folks. So Alexia, share with us number 3.
Number 3, be willing to be vulnerable. And, you know, this is something that it's so important. Stepping out is scary.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't care how, you know, you said it to me the other day. You're like, oh my gosh, you're so confident. Everybody sees this. I actually, when I speak, this is a little secret you guys don't tell. Okay. I walk out to a song. It's the Confidence, you know, Demi Lovato, Confidence. And people love it. They're like, oh girl, you got it. I want to be so confident. And I am pretty confident. I'm not going to lie. But my daughter actually created, she got that song for me. And it's because she sees me before I step out. And she's like, Mommy, you need this song. And I'm like, I do. You know? And it's, you know, be willing to be vulnerable. And the things that you are so passionate about, there's always something before. When you want something, the anxiety set in and everything else, feel the fear. Really rationalize it and figure out, why do I feel so? Is this even rational? You know, feel it and do it anyway, if it's safe. You know, step out on that. Ask for help. You know, if you're stepping out on something new, rally around the troops, people that are actually knowledgeable about what you're doing, and get the information that you should. You know, don't get help from everybody. Everybody's always going to have something to say, but you want to take in the right information, and you'll learn to decipher, you know, who is giving you good information from who's just got a lot of lip service.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there will be people that have a lot of lip service.
Sure.
You know?
I think one of the best things and best piece of advice in regards to the topic that we're talking about is that if you want to do something, find someone who's doing what you're doing and doing it really well, and take them out to dinner or lunch or a cup of coffee or do something nice. I think that's so, so, so important.
Yes. You know, I believe so strongly in paying it forward. I love that you said that, because business in itself it's in so many different parts, and never feel as though because you're just starting out, people appreciate everything. I love it when I can meet with like a student or something, and you know, I pay what somebody did to me forward when I can give them knowledge. Do you understand? Or when I can motivate, and, you know, I think that's why I'm so motivated to speak and do things, you know, or even in supervision. The person who gave me supervision was amazing. And that's why I love doing supervision right now with my students. You know, pay it forward, you know, but going back to number 3, be willing to be vulnerable, be willing to fail, and be willing to succeed. Because sometimes it's not even just our fear of failure, but it can also be our fear of success that holds us back from achieving our desired results.
Sure. I really like the term failing forward.
Yes.
Right? So the failure is, like you said, a stepping stone to move forward. So that's great. So, and also Kate and I actually love Dr. Brene Brown. Mm-hmm. So if anyone's having difficulty being vulnerable, totally check out her books and information, YouTube,
her TED Talks.
She's
awesome. She really is.
So bring us to number 4.
Number 4, forgiveness. Forgive. You know, forgiving yourself and forgiving everyone else for lies, for the stories that we tell ourselves. You know, it sounds, when I say this, sometimes people are like, forgive. You know, oftentimes we tell ourselves stories. You know, I'm not talking about the stories that you say when you're at the networking event and you're telling everybody how great you are. But I'm talking about the times when you wake up at 5 o'clock in the mornings or at nighttime when you're thinking about your job or your work or the next steps, the anxieties, the I'm not good enough, the can I do this? Will I ever be able to do this? Am I going to succeed? Can I succeed? Forgive yourself for the lies, even for the stories that other people have told you, that you're never going to make money in this field. Lie.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be able to believe it and to envision what you want and to go towards it. One thing is that if we cannot really recognize the pattern and recognize the patterns that have held us back in the past, then we have a very hard time in achieving the vision for the future.
Great. So just to recap on the 4 tips to breaking through those emotional patterns to really living into your vision, especially in the private practice world, is 1 is telling the truth. 2 is letting go of excuses. We all have them. 3 is be willing to be vulnerable. And 4 is to forgive. I really like that you say that, because in order to have compassion for others, we need to have compassion for ourselves.
Yes.
And we need to acknowledge the amazing journey that we have taken on to become business owners or enhance our business. And like Kate said, she was talking about the path. I was thinking about the K2 mountain, because that booger is really hard to climb and it's really tough to get to the top. And it's full of challenges, but also rewards and things to make you better and things that you grow from. So I think that is so, so, so important.
Yes.
Yeah, that self-compassion is essential. And we, in our field as therapists and clinicians, we give that compassion, that empathy, that caring. So we're constantly giving that to other people. So if we're not refilling our tank, we don't have the energy to climb that mountain. So it is so important. Alexia, would you share with our audience something that you've had to overcome personally to be where you are in private practice?
Oh, wow. Which mountain do we have to climb? I'm going to tell you that my story is one that is amazing. And, we'll go into that at some time. But really, my passion comes from being where I am. I didn't grow up poor. I can't give anybody a hard knock story about that, like poor little black girl. Everybody comes up with a story. My story comes from, getting old, a little bit older, after college and getting into wrong relationships and, and marrying the wrong person and discovering an empathy that although I was a practitioner, I didn't have the empathy that I discovered when I went through my own divorce. Sometimes a situation can carry you through and take you to a whole higher level. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely, of course.
Right. So when I went through that, it took me to a whole other level. And really, when I look back now on my experiences, my own patterns of my own childhood assisted me in getting through. But the patterns, if I didn't break certain patterns of sadness, depression, anything else that I would have gone through during that time, then I wouldn't be as magnificent as I am now. And I claim that magnificence.
You own it.
I love it. That's awesome.
And it shines. It really radiates off of you.
You have to be able to really recognize where you are and where you desire to go, and don't have anyone else hold your future. Because when we hold unforgiveness in our heart or even hold resentment in our heart for any experience that we've gone through, a lot of times it's a coping mechanism that we don't even recognize, because it's easier to sit in a state of sadness, depression, whatever you want to call it, anxiety, a pattern of codependence, whatever it is. It's easier to sit in that than to feel a fear of seeing yourself better, because you don't know how anybody else will react to you or how you're going to react to yourself.
I love it.
What do you want to make sure our audience gets from your message today, Alexia?
Well, I always have a little visual, and I'm hoping that you can see visual on my little screen here. And this right here, do you guys know what this is?
It looks like a marble.
So Alexia is showing us a marble, because I know everyone's listening. So we see that you got a marble.
I got a marble, okay? Now, a marble is a little glass piece. And this thing had to be cultivated and blown. It was a piece of coal before. And it had to be cultivated, blown, and made as pretty as it is. And we used to play with these marbles back in the day when we were kids. And, much like our own lives, the patterns that we have, the life that we live, if we don't cultivate our patterns and really figure them out and blow them and get them to be as we desire them to be, they won't look like this. But if we get them just right and we put them down, we can shoot them, aim them, and take it wherever we want to go. And nothing's going to stop us. So when you ask me what I want for us to take home, breaking your emotional patterns takes determination. You have to want it. That's the biggest thing. If you want it, you're going to have it. My motto is live your life better today. And if you want to live your life better today, you got to tell yourself this truth. Let go of excuses, be vulnerable, forgive, and make it happen for you.
Nice.
That's great.
If you could recommend a book or resource to our audience on this topic, what would it be?
I have a love thing for Iyanla Vanzant. Anything that she has done, she's on, she does Fix My Life. She's on Oprah, but she has a bestseller. If you look her up, you'll see her on for Fix My Life. She's amazing, a great motivational coach and teacher, spiritual leader.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that.
Yes.
So if you're thinking about your final parting piece of guidance or words of wisdom for our audience, what would that be?
I would have to tell you, I have a favorite quote, and it's by Maya Angelou. And it says that, they'll forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And I am going to encourage everybody to live by that very seed, live that, plant it, and pass it on, because it's going to definitely come back to you in every way, shape, or form. Don't believe the stories that you've been told, even about your own life. Create them.
And I really think with your energy today and really connecting with our audience, I'm thinking they're walking away after listening to this podcast, really feeling what you're talking about, because a lot of times people think about the do of business, right? We talk about be, do, have. Most people live their lives as do, have, be. And what's really important is we have to work on the beingness of who we are to really shift and change to reach our goals. And that's really what you're talking about today. And I really love that you've really conveyed that to our audience.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it so much, and I look forward to being back again soon.
Absolutely. We really appreciate you joining us in our show today, and we had a great time as usual. So, Startup Nation, make sure you check out today's show note page for all of the tips, resources, and links from today's podcast. We thank you for listening, and again, we always value your input and your feedback, so please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review our show, and we hope you have an awesome, inspired day, and we look forward to catching you soon.
And continuing to inspire you from startup to mastery.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.